video we're learning about how you can create a music player app inside of code.org app lab. So let's get started. And before we start developing our actual application, I just want to show you a quick preview of how our app will look after we develop it. So basically this is how our app will look after we develop it. So here we've just got a list of songs, and then here we've got some buttons, right? So when I click on the play button, the song is actually going to play, right? So it's actually playing. Now when I click on the next button, right, then it'll actually play the next song, right? Then if I click on the button, even that also works. So this is what we're going to be developing in today's video, and let's get started. So let me actually open up a new tab right over here, and I'm going to search for code.org. Now I'm going to hit sign in, right? Sign in, and then just wait, and here you just have to enter your email ID and password and then hit sign in. Let's wait, and now we'll just create an app lab project basically. So we're going to click on create, and then we're going to select app lab. So we're creating an app lab project. Just click on that, and then let this load, and our project has been created. So first we're going to start by renaming our project right here. So I'm going to call this like music player, and then I'm going to hit save. Now let's go to our design, and basically the first step of creating our app will be to design it. So we're going to do exactly that. So basically we're going to start by dragging in a text area, which is going to be the list of our songs. Or actually, before we do that, I just want to give my screen an ID. And I just want to set all of the properties for the screen first. So the ID, I'm going to set it to be screen_main B. Now I'm basically going to change the background color to be D6F500. Okay, and now let's actually start by dragging in our text area. So I'm going to drag in my text area right over here. And I'm going to call this text area _songs. And right now I'm just going to pause the recording and pop in some songs here. So I've just popped in some songs there. Now we will adjust the width and then the height. So here the width, I'm going to set that to be 235. And the height, I'm going to set that to be 80. So 80, and then the X position to be 45, and also the Y position, and I'm going to set that to be 20. Now let's scroll down. Okay, all of that's really nice, and I just want to basically change the background color to be white, and you can also change these other properties like text color and all of that. And then also I'm going to set the text alignment to be center. Okay, that's looking nice, and also we want to make this read only because we don't want the user typing into our text area. So we don't want them to change the songs or do any of that, right? So we mark that as read only. The user cannot type into our text area. Now the next thing we want is a blue thing, which is, the song selector, right? So it actually says you which song that you're currently on and all of that stuff. So for that, I used a label. So I'm going to drag in a label, and then I'm going to set its ID to be label _ song selector. Song selector. The text, I basically want to set this to an empty string. We don't want any text. And then I'm going to set its width to be 230, which is essentially just 5 less than our text area's width. So let's set that to be 230 like so. Okay, or actually the height, I'm going to set that to be 20 like so. And now all I basically want to do, let's scroll down. The font says okay. And now the border color, right? So we just want to change that to a different value. I'm going to hit backspace. I'm just going to actually pick it with our color picker. Let's go with like a blue color. I guess that looks good. And now it doesn't actually show us the border, and that's because the border width is right now set to 0. So I'm going to set that to 2, and basically that'll just show us that. Now I just want to set its X position to be 48, so 48, and the Y position to be 23. So that's gone up there. That's exactly what we want. And now we want those buttons down over there, right? So for that, all we want is, of course, a button. So 4 of them. Just drag in a button like so. And then this is going to be called btn_play because the first button is going to be our play button. Play. And then the text, we will just set that to an empty string again. Okay. And the width, we're going to set that to I'm going to set the width to be 50 and also the height to be 50. Now the X position, I'm going to set that to 11 and the Y position to be 360. Like so, and that's gone up there. Now we basically want to change its background color to be completely transparent because we actually don't want to see its background. So scroll down there, click. And then I'm going to basically set its opacity to 0 down over there, so we won't actually get any kind of background. Okay, all of that's good. And now for the image, we basically want to click choose, then my files, and then I want to hit upload file. And then I have all of these, icons right over here. So I'm going to select the play icon, and then let it upload. And that's just uploaded, and now I'm going to hit choose. And you can create this icon with pixel art. And if you want to do that, you can just check out a video that I've created. So the link will be in the description down below. Okay, now we actually want to remove that border. So border width again, 0. Nice. And now let's actually duplicate this button because the rest of the buttons are essentially going to be the same. Just, difference between the position and the image. So first I'm going to do this. Duplicate that, and I'm going to call this btn_stop. And first I'm going to start by actually changing the image. Let's scroll down. Image, I'm going to hit choose, then upload file. Now let's choose the stop because this is going to be the stop button. Now let's choose that, and basically that's how it looks. And now we want to change its X position to be 60. Like so, and that's looking nice. Now we basically want to duplicate this again. And basically this is going to be the previous button. So of course, let's begin by calling this button _previous. Like so. The text can be empty. Oh, that's good. Let's of course change the image. I choose, and now I'm gonna again upload another file, which is going to be our previous button. Hit upload file. Now we're gonna choose that like so. Okay. Now what we want to do is basically change its X position to be 206. Like so, and then the Y position, it's a little off because the Y position is actually 360. Now that looks better. Now let's duplicate that one more time, the last time. This is going to be the button _next. And then the width and height, that's all good. Let's scroll down. Let's choose. Let's upload a file. Upload file. Now we're going to select our next button, right? And then upload that, choose it, and that's popped in. Now we just want to change its X position. So scroll up, change it to 255, and the Y position to be 360. Okay, all of that's looking good, but right now the button looks a little bit smaller than the rest of them. So I'm just going to change the width and the height to be 52 by 52, and now that's looking just like all the other buttons are looking. Now we're actually going to code up our app, right? So I'm in text mode. If you want, you can go over to block mode and you can do the same things that I'm doing. So the first thing that we will start by doing is actually declaring a variable which will store our Y position. So the Y position of essentially the song selector, the top of it. And by default, we will set that to be 23. Now, the first thing that we basically want to implement is going to be our play button. So when we click on the play button, we actually want to play the music, right? So let's do exactly that. So first, what I'm going to do is actually create an event. So on event button play, click, and we actually click on it. Then we will have a callback function. So function like so. And here we will basically have a separate function for actually executing the play music logic. So I'm just going to do play music, which is going to be a function which we will create in just right now. So we will create a function, let's call this play music. You can name it whatever you want, but make sure not to name it play sound, because play sound is a built-in function inside of code.org or AppLab. So here first, what we want to do is just check if the Y position is equal to 23. And what's this 23? I guess I didn't explain that. So basically the 23 is right over there. That point, right? So let me show this in the design. Actually, it will be better. So basically it's the Y position of our song selector. So as you can see, the Y position is actually 23. And that's exactly why I've set the Y position over here to 23. And if that's the case, then we will have curly brackets, and then we will play sound, right? So we can use this for playing any kind of sound that we want. And now we're going to choose, and basically this is, built-in sounds inside of AppLab, but we don't want any of these. We actually want our custom sounds. So we'll hit make new sounds, and then you can record any sound that you want, or you can upload a file. So I'm going to actually upload a file. And inside of audio, so I just have some music right over here. For the first one, it should play this one, the first, song. Let it upload. And maybe if your file is over 3 or 4 megabytes, it'll complain and it'll say something like it cannot hold that because its size is too large. So you can just compress it down if it says you that. Okay, and then I'm going to choose, and I'm just going to put in a semicolon. Now if I hit run, and then if I hit the play button, it actually plays the music. So now we'll even have some more of these conditions. So I'm actually going to write if. You can also use else if. So if, here we will check if the Y position is equal to 41. So what is this 41? I'm going to show that right over here. So essentially it's just this point over here. So basically it's just the second song, okay? So basically it's just 23 plus 18 that got us to this result. And 18 is just the spacing between these both, so 18 pixels. And if this is the case, we will actually play sound, then choose, then we're going to make new sounds and upload an other file. And this time I'm going to get this song, right? And let it upload. Now, after it uploads, I'm just going to choose it. And then we won't actually see this work unless we actually implement the next and the previous buttons. After this, I'll have another statement which checks if the Y pause is equal to 41 plus 18, which will give us 59, right? So 59 is again the next song's point. Okay, and then here we will just execute some code. So I'm going to play sound, and this time I'm going to play another song, okay? So I'm going to upload a file, and I'm going to get this. I'm going to open it or upload it. and then I'm going to choose it. Nice. And again, we won't see this work unless we implement the other buttons. But now the problem that we have here is, let me actually make this screen a little bigger. So now the problem that we have here is that we can actually play, right? But the stop button doesn't actually work. So if I play the music, then if I try to click on the stop button, it doesn't actually work, right? So I was clicking on it, okay? Okay, so right now we're going to implement exactly that. So we're going to write an event of, when the stop button has been clicked, then we will have a callback function. So function, like so, semicolon. And here, it's just one line of code. So it's just stop sound. And what this does is it basically stops the current sound that's playing. So here we are playing the sound, which is dependent on whatever the Y position is. And here, when we click on the stop button, we actually stop that sound. Now, when I hit run, then if I play a song, and then when I click stop, as you can see, it actually works, right? So I'm just going to hit play again, and I'm going to show that again. It stopped, and that stops, right? So that's really nice. So now the next thing that we're going to be implementing is actually the next button. So for that, we will write non-event of when our next button is actually clicked. And then here we will have a callback function, like so. And then pop in that semicolon. And here, what we will first do is basically increment our Y position. So we will just do Y position plus equal to 18, right? So if we take a look over here, right, when we're actually going down, the Y position is increasing. So when we actually increase the Y pause, that means we're actually going down, and that's what we want to do with our next. Okay, and then this plus equal to is basically a shortcut of saying Y pause is equal to Y pause plus 18. And 18 again is just the spacing between the both of the songs. So now what we want to do is basically do if our Y pause, which we want to check if it's less than or equal to 59, as the position of our last song. And if this is the case, basically we're going to set position, and I'll explain this. So we will set position of our song selector, and then for the X position, we'll just do 48, which is the X position of our song selector. And then for our Y position, we'll just pass in Y pause. So now let me actually explain this, right? So what we're basically trying to get to is just, you can assume that we're on the first song, right? Which is at Y position 23, right? So from that position, when we actually click on the next button, we want to actually go to the second song, right? So we will add 18, and then we will go over to the next song, right? So then the Y pause is going to be, it's going to be 41, right? And then after that, from the second song, also when we click on the next button, we actually want to go over to the third song, right? So we will add 18 to the Y pause, and then it will be at 59. So that's what we're trying to get here. So now I'm also going to implement a functionality that when we're actually on the last song, and then when we click on the next button again, we don't want to keep going down, right? We just want to come back over here and then come to the first song. So that's what we're trying to implement over here. So for that, I'll just have an else statement. So else. And here what we will do is basically just set the Y pause back to 23, right? So that will be over here, right in the starting of the song. And then what we will basically do is just update the UI. So actually, I'm just going to copy this in here. Like so, copy. Then I'm going to come here, and then I'm going to paste that in. Okay, so basically this will be taking us back to the first song. Now we also need to update the music. So basically, if there's some other song playing, we just want to stop it. So for that, of course, we'll use stop sound. And then after that, we will actually use play music. And we don't have to worry about anything here because our play music basically handles everything for us. Now let's actually check if this is working. So I'm just going to run my program. Then I'm going to play music. And I'm going to stop it. And now when I click on the next button, it goes to the next song and it starts playing. And then if I click on the next button again, it goes to the next song and it of course stops playing. And now when I click once more, it goes back to the first song. So we've got all of the functionality working. So now we're going to be implementing our previous button. So for that, of course, we will have an on event of when our previous button has been clicked, and we will have a callback function like so. And basically, our previous button's code is almost similar or almost the same as it's for our next button's code, but just some changes. So here I'm going to copy that and paste that in. So the first change that we actually want to make is going to be over here where we're incrementing it. We don't want to increment it. We want to go up, right? So for that, the Y position, we want to decrement it. So if you can see over here, when I'm going down, it's increasing. And when I'm going up, it's decreasing, right? So for that, we actually want to change this to minus equal to. And the next change that we want to make is actually over here. So here we don't want to check if the Y pause is less than or equal to 59. We want to check if it's greater than, if it's greater than or equal to 23, which is of course the position of our first song. Now the last change that we want to make is actually going to be over here where we set our Y pause to 23, right? So basically here we just want to set it to 59, which is the position of our last song. So we actually want to go over to the last song. So let me explain this. So assume that we're on the last song this time. Okay, so when we're on the last song, of course, the position, the Y pause is going to be 59, right? And from here, when we actually click on the previous button, we want to go actually subtract 18 from our Y pause, and we want to go up, right, to the second song. And when we do that, our Y pause, of course, will be 41, right? So that's 59 minus 18, which gives us 41. And then when we click on the previous button again, we actually want to go over to the first song, right? We will subtract 18 and the Y pause will be 23. And then from the first song, when we click previous again, we don't want to keep going, just like how it's for the next button. We want to come over here and come to the last song. So that's what we're trying to get to. And then the stop sound and the play music, of course, just updates the music. So it stops the current music and then plays the, updated music. So whichever one you're on right now. And maybe you'll have a confusion over here, right? So here we are just updating the position of our song selector, which is this little rectangle over there. Now let's actually go ahead and test out our application. So I'm going to run it and then I'm going to play the music. That of course works. Go to the next one. Even that works. I'm going to stop that. The next one. Even that works. So let's stop that. Now let's see if our previous button is working. So I'm going to click on it. And then it actually goes to the previous song and it plays it. And I just stopped it there. And one more time. It goes to the previous song. And again, I stopped it. And then one more time, boom, it goes to the last song. It goes back to the last song and it starts playing that song. And with that being said, if you had any problems following along, you can actually ask me in the comment section down below and I'll be very happy to answer your questions. Okay, so with that being said, we have completed our music player app inside of code.org app lab. So yeah, thank you guys for watching and I'll see you guys next time.